What if I told you there's an Overdrive pedal out there that's going to be one of the best you've ever heard, but not a whole lot of people know much about it? Today's your lucky day. What's going on, my friends? I appreciate you hanging out with me for another video today. Before we get too much further, jump on down, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, share this video or share any of the other stuff that you've been seeing on this channel. Really appreciate it. Helps me out quite a bit. So if you've gotten into guitar pedals at all, specifically overdrive pedals, there are going to be some pedals that you're going to start hearing about pretty frequently. You're going to hear about tube screamers, you're going to hear about clones, you're going to hear about blues breakers, king of tone. You're going to just, the list kind of feels endless. But one pedal that has become an absolute staple for a lot of people in the Nashville area specifically is the famous ODR-1. Now, the ODR-1 had a sound that was really original for the time. A lot of people said it sounded like a Bassman that was distorting and breaking up in all the right ways. I don't quite know if I get with that, but it does sound really, really great. Now, the Nobels ODR-1 is a pedal that's still widely available today. You can buy it from any major retailer, Sweetwater, Guitar Center, any of those guys. But if you've really looked into the history of the pedal, you'll find that it has changed quite a bit. The circuit's been modified a little bit. The parts that they're using have been modified. They've added a bass cut. A lot of these things are detriments when you start talking to people who are big fans of the original Nobels. But of course, with prices being what they are now, I mean, they've absolutely skyrocketed. You can buy even a mini version or, the classic sized version of the newer models for next to nothing with today's market. Whereas you could be paying thousands of dollars for an original Nobels ODR-1. Now, I personally have become a huge fan of this sound. I've had the opportunity to play a few of the originals, and they are by far better than any of the remakes today. And that's coming from someone who has owned two of the remakes that are available today. I've owned the full-size version and I've owned the mini version, which, by the way, sound absolutely identical. Now, one of the main complaints with the Nobel circuit is that the bass is just too much. Especially if you're plugging in humbuckers, it just kind of takes over and the low end just takes off in a really unpleasant way. But I imagine that everyone who's saying that really hasn't played an original Nobels. They don't quite do it the same way as the new ones do. The new ones sound really tubby and they sound a little grimy, especially in the low mids. Whereas the old ones, it was just a really, really nice bottom end on it. It just sounded really full and it was just a really well-rounded kind of tone. Now, in an effort to kind of make up for the fact that the new ones have so much bass going on, they added a bass cut switch on the inside of the pedal that you can hit. I found this particular function to be almost useless. It took away a lot of the stuff that I really like about the Nobel sound. Even though the new ones don't quite sound like the old ones, that bass cut switch didn't just subtract the bass, it's like it took some of the soul away with it. So this led me on a journey. I started trying to see, like, how can I have that Nobel sound without spending thousands of dollars, but also have control over things like the low end and the mids and whatever. So I ended up looking into the guy who originally designed the ODR-1 for Nobels. His name is Kai Tachibana. I believe I'm pronouncing that correctly. And to my surprise, he was still making pedals. He was still putting the ODR-1 circuit as he originally had designed it out there. Now, of course, with higher grade parts and some modifications that I think are extremely useful. He added a knob for mids. He added the ability to roll in a bass cut as opposed to just a bass cut switch. So he only does these pedals in small batches and he only does them every now and again. So after scouring the internet, Facebook Marketplace, Reverb, I was just really wanting to get my hands on one of these things to give it a shot. So after doing all that, I finally found one. So I give you the Nordland ODR-C. Now, the second I got this pedal, it was used, but some things really stuck out. Quality-wise, pretty much night and day from the Nobels pedals that I had had just a few months before. The Nobels pedals just felt a little plasticky. They weren't extremely durable, whereas, man, this is super solid. And as I was telling you guys beforehand, it has some extra features on it. So, you know, it has the classic drive, level, and spectrum knobs. The spectrum knob having that middle position just as the Nobels did. But with the addition of a mid knob, a low cut, as well as an ODC control. I'll get into that in a second. So if you want to have that Nobels sound, but you want to push the mids a little bit, you can do that. If you want to have that Nobels sound, but you want to roll off just a little bit of that low end, you can do that. You don't just have to do a bass cut switch from the inside. You can make just the most minute little adjustment and roll off as little or as much of those lows as you need to. And then lastly, this ODC control is not so much something that is intended to be heard, but it's more of the compression response in the way it feels to be playing through this pedal. It really does make a difference in how the pedal feels, the way it reacts to your playing. I found that in just the far left position, to me, that's the most comfortable. But again, the flexibility is there for anybody who wants to make those adjustments. So with all that being said, this is my favorite overdrive pedal I've ever owned. It's my favorite overdrive pedal I've ever played. It just does everything I need it to do. It gives me the flexibility I need to have in order to get different sounds, different tones. This pedal just has a lot of personality, a lot of flexibility, and it has just become a staple for me. I'm never not going to be able to have one. I feel like I need to have at least, I don't know, like 6 or 7 sitting around. But in all seriousness, go find one of these things, give it a shot. I think you'll fall in love with it just like I did. So y'all, as always, I appreciate you hanging out with me. Jump on down into those comments. Let me know your favorite overdrive pedal, and let me know if you've ever played that Nordland and what you think about it. And y'all, again, like and subscribe. Share this video if you like what you're seeing, and we'll see you on the next one. Peace.